Resurrection, the reversal of what was thought to be absolute, the turning of midnight into dawn, hatred into love, dying into new living. If we look more closely into life, we will find that resurrection is more than hope. It is our experience. The return to life from death is something we understand at our innermost depths. We have come back to life, not only when we start to shake off a shroud of sorrow that has bound us, but when we begin to believe in all that is still endlessly possible. We give thanks for all those times when we have arisen from the depths or simply taken a tiny step towards something new. May we be empowered by extraordinary second chances. And as we enter the world anew, let us turn the tides of despair into endless waves of hope.
Each year on Easter, we tell the same ancient story. It is the story of a man named Jesus who lived 2,000 years ago and traveled around preaching love and compassion. Like so many throughout history who have preached love and compassion, Jesus was not beloved by those in power. And so when he was just 33 years old, he was arrested and killed for his teachings. The story tells us that after he died, a miracle happened, and he was resurrected, brought back to life in a new way. Thus it is that on Easter, we speak about this re-emergence of resurrection, of life coming out of death. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Unitarian Universalists often struggle with this story of resurrection. We don't like that the miracle defies the scientific reality of death. Many of us might say that we don't believe in resurrection. However, as Molly Fumia pointed out in our Words for Reflection, there is truth in the idea of resurrection. Is it not true that all of us have experienced resurrection in some way in our lives? As Molly Fumia writes, the return from death is something we understand in our innermost depths. We have come back to life, not only when we start to shake off a shroud of sorrow that has bound us, but when we begin to believe in all that is still endlessly possible. Our Wonderbox story was a simple example of resurrection, of re-emergence. It's simple, and yet the truth of it matters. There is something about spring that gets us all Twitter-pated, I think is the technical word for it. Especially here in the Northeast, where winters are cold and longer than we might like. There's something about that first day when you can walk outside without a coat on. There's something about exploring outside and finding new little shoots of green each day. There is something miraculous about this time of year, about the resurrection, the re-emergence from the cold, brown, dormant time of winter into the vibrant, green, life-filled spring. Now, one of the things I don't love is cleaning up the garden in the fall, but I actually find deep joy in that work in the springtime. We have a number of perennials in our backyard, and I just love the experience of pulling away those old dead stalks of flowers, of picking up off the brown shriveled leaves and finding underneath that new delicate green growth, finding what has emerged this year, what new life has come from death. And it is not just nature which reminds us of this cycle of reemergence. It's also our own lives. I feel like right now, this is especially on our minds as we look forward to some point in the hopefully not too distant future when we can re-emerge from this time of staying home, of keeping each other safe by staying away from each other. Though we're not there yet, though the numbers are creeping up again, we have more faith, I think, than we did a few months ago, that there will indeed come a time of reemergence for us. And of course, we have all of the feelings about that. As this time approaches, I wonder, how will we reemerge from this time? What will our world look like? How will we unfurl our wings as we come out of this pandemic? Who really knows who we will be, who we are becoming? I know that there's a yearning to go back from many, back to hugs and handshakes, to singing together, to the way things were. But this idea of resurrection or re-emergence is a little different than that. As we heard in our garden story, we do not re-emerge the exact same person, the exact same community, the exact same situation. There are people that are gone. There are things that will never be the same. We have grown and changed. We cannot go back. Even in the biblical story of Jesus' resurrection, what re-emerges is not exactly the same as what we had before. It's not Jesus just brought back to life, fully back on earth. Even the most literal biblical readers would not argue that Jesus is exactly the same after the resurrection as he was before. I like to think of the Easter resurrection story as the resurrection of Jesus' spirit of love. And that spirit of love continues to grow and change as it re-emerges into the world in new ways. As we enter this season of preparing to re-emerge, as we prepare to unfurl our wings, I hope that we will not emerge into the world as it once was, but perhaps into a world that is a little closer to what it should be. In the words of Molly Fumia, we give thanks for all of those times we have arisen from the depths or simply taken a tiny step towards something new. May we be empowered by extraordinary second chances. And as we enter the world anew, let us turn the tides of despair into endless waves of hope. May it be so.
Just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love, in the spring, becomes the rose. Or as the evergreen says,
remember your roots and keep the faith. Spring will come.
It's true. Spring comes every year. And every year there are new flowers that emerge in the garden.
I was so grateful that someone took the time last year to plant the seed that became me.
We could always use more gardeners planting seeds for the future.
we all plant the seeds that we hope will emerge. We plant the hopes and dreams that are written on our hearts that we long to see grow.
I wonder what our human friends are hoping might grow in the next season.
Do they have any seeds to plant?
As a matter of fact, everyone who got an at-home church kit has some seed paper in the shape of a heart. And our children and youth who got their April kits yesterday also have seed paper in the shape of flowers and the earth. So I invite you to find that paper now if you have it near you, or wonder where it might be because some of you got it about a month ago, and think about what you would put on that heart. And the best thing to go with that heart is a pencil as well.
Let's think about what we want to emerge or re-emerge. I know that I, as an azalea, come back every spring a little different than I was last year, with new branches and slightly different flowers. What are you hoping will emerge in this next season of your life?
What do you want to see grow in your life or in our world?
Whatever it is that you want to emerge or reemerge, that you want to grow in our world, whatever it is that's on your heart just waiting to be planted, use that pencil and write down your hope in a word or a drawing on that seed paper. And if you want to share it with all of us, you can type that in the chat box as well.
Take that seed paper and plant it in the ground this spring, just like someone planted me last spring.
And then you water it and you wait. Some flowers take a little longer than others to emerge.
Let's see what our human friends will be planting. I wonder if anyone's going to type something in the chat for us. Otherwise, I can just wonder. Oh, here's some things. Good health, love for all people and things, more hugs, peace, love, and more friendship, kindness to each other. Let us plant all these things.
What a beautiful garden we will create together. I invite you to hold tight to that seed paper, and I'll sing one more time the blessing that we all will hope will emerge. And you are welcome to join me. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Thank you, Sadie, and thank you, gardeners, for planting seeds of emergence, of re-emergence this spring.
May we always remember that our roses will open, as will our daisies, hydrangeas, and azaleas. May our reemergence bring us new life, even if it's not the exact same life as before. May we nurture and support our community's children, especially Anna, Hosea, Finn, Sabrina, and Simon. May we always remember our roots and keep our faith. Spring is here. Amen, and blessed be.